Ready to dive a little deeper into Tolkien this time?
Absolutely. Always love getting into the nitty-gritty of how this world works.
Right, it's not just the stories. It's like he built a whole universe and we get to peek behind the curtain.
Exactly. And these excerpts, this is like getting to read the Silmarillion with Tolkien himself looking over our shoulder.
Yeah, it's not just reading the stories, it's like his notes on how it all works, you know? And I gotta say, you start digging into the Ainur, those like super powerful beings.
More than just your typical wizards or gods, yeah.
Way more, right? Like they sing the world into being. That's wild.
That's the Ainur, one of the most unique creation myths out there.
See, I'd always kind of skimmed over that part, but when you realize that music is like the core of reality in Tolkien.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just a metaphor. It's foundational. Harmony, discord, even the One Ring, it's all echoes of that music.
Makes you listen to the soundtrack differently, that's for sure. But speaking of powerful beings, we got to talk about Melkor, right? Morgoth, the big bad.
Right, but he's interesting because he's not just some evil dude who popped out of nowhere. He's a corrupted Ainur.
Yeah, and Tolkien really emphasizes that fall from grace like it's a tragedy in itself.
Pride is the real root of it, this desire for power that twists everything he touches.
And then you get the orcs, and it's like, wow, these weren't always monstrous. He twisted them up, too.
Exactly. That theme of corruption, of good intentions gone wrong, it pops up everywhere in the Silmarillion. Even with the Valar, those powerful beings who are supposed to be shaping the world.
You mean like they mess up, too? I always thought they were more like hands-off gods.
They're supposed to be, but they've got their own personalities, their own desires. Take Ully the Smith, for example. Creates the dwarves in secret without even asking Arrow.
Because he's impatient? Or, like, trying to show off?
Bit of both, maybe. That creative urge, but taken too far. It's a big theme with Tolkien overreaching, trying to force your will on the world instead of working within the harmony.
And that screws things up, even if you're one of the good guys, huh?
Exactly. All these dwarves, the Noldor later on, they all fall into that trap. Wanting to shape things to their own desires instead of accepting their place in the grand scheme.
Which, I mean, it's relatable, right? We all want to put our own stamp on things.
Absolutely. But it's a cautionary tale, too. And it's not just the dwarves. Look at Yavanna, the Vala of nature. She's worried about what both the dwarves and elves will do to the natural world.
Oh, yeah. Like, even back then, Tolkien was thinking about the environment.
In a way, yeah. Yavanna's foresight adds another layer to it, this idea that even the good guys have an impact. And not always a good one.
So you've got these powerful Valar. They're shaping the world according to Eru's will. But where does that leave humans?
That's where Tolkien gets really interesting. He calls men the followers. And they come into the picture way later than elves or dwarves. Almost like he didn't want to make his world human-centric.
So we're like the afterthought. That's kind of a bummer.
Not exactly. It's more like we're the wild card. Elves, dwarves, their fates are tied to Arda, to the world itself. But men, we've got free will, and that makes us unpredictable.
Okay, I like the sound of that a little better. But unpredictable in a good way. Or
both, really.
Yeah.
Capable of great things, but also terrible ones. And Tolkien suggests that even the Valar, they don't know what we'll do next. We're the variable they can't quite account for.
Wow, so in a world of gods and monsters, humans are the ones who keep everyone guessing.
Exactly. And that makes our place in this story all the more interesting, don't you think?
It's wild how these big ideas, fate, free will, it all comes back to the specific Valar, you know? Like, they're not just these abstract forces.
Oh, totally. Each one has a personality, a role to play.
Yeah.
Like Ulmo, the Vala of the waters. He always seems kind of mysterious to me.
Right. Lives in the ocean, does his own thing.
But he's got this deep love for the children of Iluvatar, especially the elves. Even when he's off in the depths, he's working behind the scenes, guiding them, protecting them.
Yeah, you see it later on how he helps those who are escaping from Morgoth.
Exactly. And his connection to water is like this whole network of information, a way to reach out, makes you see those passages about the sea in a whole new light.
And when the Teleri leave Middle-earth, you really feel his sadness. Those were his people. The ones who shared his love of the sea.
It's that bittersweet feeling, you know, like he wants them to be happy in Valinor, but there's this loss too. Shows you that even the Valar, they're invested in this world and what happens to everyone.
And speaking of powerful symbols, those two trees of Valinor, man, that imagery always gets me.
Breathtaking, right. But they're not just pretty lights. The two trees, they represent that divine grace that permeates Valinor. Harmony, balance, unspoiled beauty before Morgoth messed it all up.
That passage where Tolkien describes their light mingling, it's like this perfect moment frozen in time.
And then Fëanor comes along, greatest of the Noldor and elves, captures that essence in the Silmarils.
Talk about ambitious. Bottling up the light of the two trees. That's some next-level stuff right there.
It highlights this drive within the Noldor, to create, to even surpass the beauty of what the Valar have made, but also that possessiveness, that need to own things.
Yeah, it's like they can't just appreciate the beauty, they have to possess it.
Yeah.
And that's where things start to go sideways.
Exactly. And Morgoth, he sees that, exploits it, uses their desire for the Silmarils to turn them against each other. Classic villain move.
And then you get the kinslaying at Alcalande, and it's just heartbreaking. Elves fighting elves, all for these jewels.
That's the turning point right there. The Noldor, they were rebelling against the Valar before, but this is different. They've shed the blood of their own kin.
Blinded by that oath, they swore to get the Silmarils back. Tolkien really knew how to write a powerful oath, didn't he?
Seriously. You make a promise in his world, it carries weight no matter what. And the oath Fëanor and his sons swore, it becomes this curse, driving them forward, but also twisting their judgment.
And from that one decision, generations of conflict, the siege of Angband, all those battles, the rise and fall of kingdoms, it all goes back to that moment.
Like a ripple effect, each tragedy leading to the next.
Tolkien's view of history, it's cyclical, Good's evil, always intertwined. Even the most heroic deeds can have unintended consequences.
The Noldor, they wanted freedom, justice, but they got trapped by their own pride. It's like a cautionary tale within a cautionary tale, right? Even in Tolkien, there are no easy victories. And it makes you think, knowing all this, where does that leave men? Coming into this world, carrying the baggage of the elves' choices, what role will W.E. play?
It's a lot to process. We've been talking about these huge forces, these epic stories, but in the end, it's us, the children of Lúvatar, who inherit this world with all its baggage.
And that's what makes Tolkien so relevant even today. It's not just escapism, it's about the human condition, our capacity for both good and evil.
And the thing that always gets me is Tolkien, he leaves the fate of men open-ended. Like, even the Valar don't know what we'll do.
It's that element of free will, right? Even in a world with gods and monsters, we have the power to choose our own path.
Which is kind of a terrifying thought when you really think about it.
Terrifying, but also hopeful. It means that even the smallest actions can have huge consequences. We're not just pawns in some cosmic game.
So no pressure, humans. But the fate of the world is riding on us. I mean, I know it's a story, but it makes you think.
That's the mark of a great storyteller, isn't it? To make you see the world differently even after you've closed the book.
We started by talking about blueprints, but it's more like Tolkien gives us this whole toolbox. Creation, choice, the struggle between light and darkness, it's all there.
And he trusts us, the readers, to grapple with those ideas, to find our own meaning in them. That's what makes his work so enduring.
So yeah, if you're looking for a simple hero's journey, Tolkien might not be your guy. But if you're ready to really dive deep, to explore the complexities of good and evil, of fate and free will,
then welcome to Middle-earth, my friend. Just be prepared to spend some time there. Once those questions take root, they're hard to shake off.
And that's our deep dive for this time. Hope you enjoyed exploring the foundations of Tolkien's world with us. Until next time, keep those questions coming and keep diving deeper into those books.